I am not an AI voice. I am a human. I am not an AI voice. So let's get started. Cruise ship hotel workers, what is something you aren't allowed to tell us? Story 1. Odds are someone passed away on your cruise. Think about all the old folks you see get on the boat. For a lot of them, this is their retirement home, and cheaper than a lot of other retirement homes. They are literally taking cruises until they perish, and we eventually find them in their cabins. I was on a cruise ship late last year, and we had 2 perishings. One was an older lady who had a heart attack in the casino, and the other was a positively ancient man who fell asleep in one of the lounges and never woke up. So, yeah, definitely a possibility. Well, that's a cheerful thought, isn't it? I mean, I always thought cruises were supposed to be a relaxing and enjoyable vacation. But now I can't stop picturing a bunch of elderly folks shuffling around the ship just waiting for their time to go. But hey, on the bright side, at least they went out doing something they loved, right? Story 2. Get a free fridge in your room. Say it's a medical need for medication. HIPAA laws mean they can't pressure details out of you. May not work for smaller motels or hotels, but should for most larger hotels or cruises. Story 3. There's a crew bar. I've heard this. And I've also heard that crew members have gotten in trouble for bringing passengers in there while trying to get laid. Story 4. I currently work as a housekeeper, seasonal summer. People leave anything and everything behind. Forget your curling iron? We probably have one. Need a charger? Yep. Toys for your child? You got it. If you ask while we're in between rooms or cleaning a common area, we'd love to help you out. No one really asks. Story 5. The staff on most cruise lines are not trained nearly well enough to handle an abandoned ship situation. It would be chaos if it were to happen on a large vessel. The safety briefing you go to is just theater, and we want to be there even less than you do. Norovirus is way more common on ships than you would think. The words bright star over the PA indicates a medical emergency is happening and is a page for medical staff to respond. The captain earns bonuses for saving fuel. Leaving port early or arriving late means the ship can go slower and conserve fuel, which means more money for the captain. While these secrets may be a bit unsettling, I think it's important to keep a sense of humor about them. At the end of the day, cruising can be a wonderful and relaxing experience, as long as we're aware of the potential risks and take precautions when we can. Now, who's ready for some buffet-style dining and endless pina coladas? Story 6. Hotel workers here also. When you bring your children to our hotel for sporting events, baseball tourneys, etc., we really hate you more than them because you get drunk and ignore them while they tear our hotel apart. Story 7. I worked for a fancy restaurant in a tourist town that catered to cruise line passengers looking to get away from the ships. Our desserts were frozen and shipped to us from a company named Gourmet Chefs. So when you read the menu description and we say that all our desserts are prepared by gourmet chefs, we aren't lying. They were just reheated and prepared by a high school kid making $3 an hour. While it may not be the most ideal situation for foodies, I can understand the restaurant's perspective. They want to cater to the cruise line passengers and provide a consistent dining experience. However, it would be nice if they were a bit more transparent about where their desserts come from. Story 8. Ex-hotel employee here. If you ever need to cancel a hotel reservation, but it's already past the cancellation deadline, just call and move your reservation up a few days. Wait 5 minutes. Call back, now well within the cancellation window, and cancel your stay for free. Hotel worker here. I wouldn't do it. I would get in hot water. The next shift, however, would have no way of knowing when your reservation was changed and would absolutely cancel it for you. Story 9. I worked as an improv actor on a cruise ship for 6 months. What we don't tell you is half the show is scripted. We just tie in your suggestions. Story 10. I am a cruise ship worker. First one is, we don't want you to know that we actually have more fun than the guests. Sure, we'll work the big white hot party that you're all going to, but once we finish our shift, all heck is breaking loose in the crew bar. Just below and to the sides of where you're sleeping, there are crew members hooking up, smoking, and drinking. Our beers are $1. No substances or spirits, though. We also don't want you to know that all those funny jokes we tell you at bingo, yeah, same ones are said every single cruise. That really funny answer you gave us about your wife during the Happy Couples game? Heard it. It was said to be the last cruise, and the one before that, and the one before that. We are not allowed to smash the passengers, but we do know all the nooks and crannies the cameras don't reach. There are morgues below deck, and a jail cell. We get at least 3 expirations on board a month. Some people go on a cruise to perish. No, I don't know where Jack or Rose is. They're not real people. Story 11. That norovirus is more common than you think. I missed a family cruise once because I had just landed an important job. Norovirus destroyed the vacation. My brothers said it was good. I didn't go on that one. Story 12. That hotels sometimes overbook rooms. Typically more so in the summer since that's a busy season. They are relying on some people either canceling or not showing up. Always a good idea to call and confirm your reservation the day of arrival, especially if you're going to be late. On the flip side of this point, hotels will typically set you up with a room at another hotel and pay for it. So if you're arriving late and aren't particularly attached to the hotel, you can get a free night if they walk you. Story 13. I work at an upscale resort. Nights average $500 a night. I work in the entertainment department, meaning we help with both the daycare center and with large groups in-house that companies host. I will say that our child daycare is pretty safe. The only sketchy thing I would say is that we will always tell you that your kid had a good time, regardless if they had been crying up until just before you got there. Parents leave their numbers with us to call if the kid wants to go home, but whenever a kid complains that they want to go home, we do everything in our power to make sure that they stay. 'Cause money. Also, the in-group activities that we do, biking, hiking, etc., are sometimes made up on the spot since the entertainment department decided not to properly train us in all of our offered activities. Newer staff, generally the people that only work summers, are told the morning of that they're running a certain activity and given a really vague rundown of how it's supposed to go and told to do our best to make stuff up, but make sure it sounds good. Companies pay thousands of dollars for these activities, but I can assure you the thought that goes into these activities is essentially zero. It's disheartening to hear that some resorts prioritize profits over the well-being of the guests and employees. It's understandable that a business wants to make money, but it should never come at the cost of someone's safety or satisfaction. It's particularly alarming to hear that the training for certain activities is lacking and the staff members are left to make stuff up. This could potentially put guests in danger and isn't a responsible way to run a business. Story 14. Hotelier here. I worked in numerous luxury 5-star properties worldwide. You will be shocked if you know the food quality in buffets. I've seen yellow food coloring added and labeled as saffron sauce. Pan-fried sea bass? It's pan-fried whitefish that comes in generic bags labeled whitefish. People change the expiration date on stuff so that the food cost doesn't increase. The amount of frozen food sold and labeled as fresh is astounding. A la carte food tends to have much better quality. Story 15. The workers all hook up with each other all the time. Time to apply for jobs on a cruise ship. Story 16. Front desk manager here. If you ask for a pillow, I'll give you a pillow. If you're asking for escort services, you'll ask for a pillow for the second time with emphasis on the word pillow. I'm not allowed to ask whether you wanted a pillow or a pillow, but if you emphasize the word, I'll get it. Also, go to the concierge down to the lobby instead of calling. Everyone calls if they want a pillow. You either have to be dense or really wanting one to go to the concierge. Story 17. I've worked at a few independent hotels in a couple tourist towns. A few things. If you forget something, ask the front desk. We have toothpaste, brushes, razors, sometimes different kinds of food we've been given as samples that we couldn't find anywhere to display. If we recommend a restaurant, we probably either like the place or know our coworkers like it. If we recommend an activity, it's entirely possible we were basically bribed. I would never tell someone to go somewhere I think is awful, but if there's 7 rafting places in town of equal quality, I'm gonna send you to the one that will bring me sandwiches for sending you. We take your stuff. Not immediately, but if we can't figure out who you are or the number doesn't work when we call and you forget your $300 watch and can't be fricked to try and find it for 3 or 4 months, that's my watch. Again, though, we are very honest about lost stuff. Most places I've been have some sort of file for lost and found, or at least organize it by month. If you call, we will look and do our best to find your stuff. But people lose so many things that if we kept it all, half the rooms would be full of your bras and flip-flops. It doesn't hurt to ask if there's a better rate. Depending on the property, if you're nice or in a pinch, the front desk has the power to do a lot with your rate. At one property I worked at, if we were almost full and it was past 9 p.m., I could cut $50 off the rate if I felt like it. At most, though, I can only really give you a 10% discount, but I can do it for almost any reason. That said, don't fight about the rate. No harm in asking, but if you push or get belligerent, I'm not doing anything for you. Also, don't argue with me about the rate being right. Yes, the tax is stupid high. Yes, we're expensive. No, I won't give you the winter rates. Yes, I'm sure that's right. The computer is smarter than both of us. Edit. If you go through the internet, 1. Expedia, Hotels.com, and Travelocity are the same thing, and they are buttholes. Yeah, you'll get a discounted rate, but the fees can sometimes end up making it more expensive. They also severely undercut a lot of hotels because they have the leverage to do so. 2. We can't do anything to your reservation without notification from whatever online service you used. Call them. They send us a fax or email the reservation is changed or canceled. Don't call us, though. We need that fax or email before we can do anything. Sorry if that makes no sense. You decided to use the service. It's great to know that hotels often have extra items available for guests who may have forgotten something, and it's good to hear that the front desk staff are willing to work with guests on rates. However, it's important to remember to be polite and not pushy when asking for discounts or questioning the rate. Thanks for sharing this information. This will definitely help when I plan my vacation.
Please like and subscribe if you've made it this far. I hope you'll enjoy the rest of the video and have a wonderful day.
Story 18. Work for a while on Princess. The cruise line pays for the time that any boat is docked. Therefore, it's good for the bottom line if the ship gets out of port as soon as possible. Ports that are closer to a big city cost more money. That's why we would sometimes dock far away from a major destination and passengers would have to take a train to the big city. The ship only makes good money while it's out at sea. So I've been on voyages that would spend a late afternoon/night at sea instead of in port, in spite of two destinations being 30 minutes from one another. There are situations I've seen on Atlantic crossing voyages that destination locations are listed that the ship will be visiting, but no one has had good enough weather to get into that port in years. It just makes it look like there will be a destination, instead of repeated days at sea. The labor force on different cruise lines tends to be preferred by different ethnicities. There are actually 2 crew bars, one for the officers and one for the rest of the crew. Boils down to being pretty racist, with one for English speakers and one for everyone else. As a non-officer, I was literally not allowed to dance with customers on the club dance floor. Drinks and cigarettes are hella cheap for the crew. Patter and jokes for most shows are repeated week in, week out. On Princess, there was a 9-to-1 guy-to-girl ratio among the crew. Suffice it to say that hella ugly chicks were Godzilla prizes. Story 19. We pray you don't finish all that banquet food so we can. Oh, and untouched food eaten out of bus tubs? That's a thing. Story 20. The staff cheat on their partners back on land all the time, because their real love is the sea. Story 21. At IHG hotels, that is, Holiday Inn, Staybridge Suites, Crown Plaza, etc., if you say you're there for a funeral or death and you ask for the bereavement rate, it's close to 50% off. We also weren't allowed to mention it exists or give the rate unless directly asked for it by a guest checking in. Something else we hid from the guests. Generally, when a guest booked a room from a third-party company, like Orbitz, Booking, Expedia, they typically paid more. Our managers had us go out of our way to hide that from guests. Lastly, if a guest came into the hotel and didn't fit their ideal guest, that is, tattoos, tattered clothes, etc., we were instructed to quote a much higher room price, and if they decided to stay, to actually charge them this inflated price. I must say that this behavior from IHG hotels is concerning and unethical. Charging more to guests who book through a third-party company and inflating prices based on appearance is discriminatory and unfair. It's also troubling that the bereavement rate is not openly advertised, as guests may not know to ask for it and could end up paying more during a difficult time. Customers should be treated with fairness and respect, regardless of how they book or what they look like. Story 22. I work as a longshoreman at a cruise ship terminal. More people expire on cruises than you realize. Mostly old people. Norovirus is very common, but more during flu season. Crew members go missing, often hitching a free ride to New York City. Rare occasions your luggage will fall in the water being loaded onto the ship. The ship will give you a very cruddy refund for your loss of luggage. And if you go to a berth with more than one ship docked, make sure you know what ship you're going on. Idiots tend to let their luggage get on the wrong ship, and you have a lovely week without it. Word of advice: if you're getting on a cruise ship in New York City, if your ship leaves at 4, get there at 1:30 or 2. You'll avoid the crowds and the check-in lines, and your luggage will be attended to right away. I'm pretty sure 2 people perished on the last cruise I went on. Most of the old people you meet on cruise ships seem happy, so hopefully the ones that expire also expire happy. Story 23. I worked at Holiday Inn Express for a little bit. Spread a towel out on the counter before putting your stuff on it, because I know some of my coworkers would go from floor to shower to toilet to sink with the same rag. We typically get 10 rags a day to clean. They're color-coded to match the cleaner they're used with, meaning bathroom is pink, window glass is blue, dusting solution is yellow, and we use 2 or 3 per room. If you have 15 rooms, that means you use the same cleaning rag for 3 bathrooms. And for the guest, that's the best-case scenario. I know girls who would do 12 rooms or more with 2 rags. Bathroom and not bathroom. Nobody gave a frick. The goal was to remove all traces of the last guest and make it smell nice. It was the most disgusting and demeaning job I've ever had. That story is pretty gross. As someone who stayed in a lot of hotels, it's concerning to hear that some employees aren't taking cleanliness seriously. I mean, I get it. Cleaning hotel rooms isn't exactly the most glamorous job out there, but come on. At least use a different rag for the bathroom and the rest of the room. I'm definitely going to keep the towel tip in mind next time I stay in a hotel, though. Story 24. Tip the housekeepers. They're paid jack and deal with a lot of used condoms. Well, that's a rude thing to call guests. Story 25. Hotel worker. We advertise our tap water as triple filtered. It's not. Complain politely, and I'll complain to you tons of stuff. We talk about you when you walk away. Heck, we usually talk about you before you walk up to us.
Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.